Today, I want to take you on a journey, a story that begins over a century ago in Crown Point, New York. This is the story of the Bemis family, a family whose name became synonymous with chiropractic care across multiple generations. Our story begins in the early 1900s with Francis Edward Bemis. Francis was in poor health, chest pains, fatigue, loss of appetite, and under the care of a local MD who was treating him with arsenic, as was common at the time. But Francis was getting worse, not better. A friend suggested he see a new kind of doctor in town, a chiropractor. Francis was skeptical. He'd never heard of such a thing. But as his health declined, he figured he had nothing left to lose. That decision changed everything. The chiropractor diagnosed him with a subluxation in his dorsal spine. Francis stopped taking the arsenic, received several adjustments, and soon felt completely well. This transformation inspired him so deeply that in the spring of 1914, Francis left his wife and young son to travel, for the first time, west of New York to Davenport, Iowa. There, he enrolled in the Palmer School of Chiropractic. By May 26, 1915, he had earned his Doctor of Chiropractic degree and studied under legendary teachers like B.J. Palmer and Mabel Palmer. Francis went on to practice in New York for more than 50 years, without a license, as the state did not yet recognize chiropractic. He charged $1 per visit, and his wife, Florence, kept the books by recording patient license plates. Many of his patients were French Canadians, and when language became a barrier, they invented their own form of sign language to communicate. His grandson, Dr. Frank Bemis, would later recall visiting his grandfather's home. Picture this: a warm living room that doubled as a waiting room, 8 or 9 cuckoo clocks chiming at slightly different times, and Francis, always dressed in a starched shirt, French cuffs, and a bow tie, heading upstairs to adjust a patient. Norman Rockwell could have painted the scene. Francis was a pioneer, a man who relied on palpation and an understanding of innate intelligence rather than X-rays. He was tough, intelligent, and deeply committed to his patients. Francis's son, Frank Edward Bemis, was born in 1912 and eventually followed in his father's footsteps. In 1939, Frank and his wife Dorothy moved to Davenport so he could attend Palmer. Dorothy supported them by waiting tables and even running the elevator at the school. She often told stories of encounters with B.J. Palmer, who was as charismatic as he was influential. While at Palmer, Frank E. Bemis met Conrad Schenk, a man who had suffered a broken neck during a wrestling match and was later told he would go blind. Schenk found chiropractic care, had his atlas adjusted, and regained his eyesight, never wearing glasses again for the rest of his life. This friendship would later bring Frank E. Bemis to Alton, Illinois, where he and Schenk practiced together for 6 years before Schenk left to teach. Frank E. Bemis faced tough times, practicing without a license from 1946 until 1962, because Palmer graduates weren't allowed to take the Illinois exam. At age 50, Frank E. Bemis went back to school at what became Logan College of Chiropractic, earned a second degree, and helped lead the movement that eventually allowed chiropractors to be licensed in Illinois. He was instrumental in forming the Prairie State Chiropractic Association, laying the groundwork for future generations of chiropractors in the state. Frank E. Bemis's son, Frank Conrad Bemis, became the third-generation chiropractor in 1965. Frank is named after his father's good friend, Conrad Schenk. Just one day after the announcement that Frank would join his father in practice, Frank E. Bemis suffered a massive heart attack. As Frank E. Bemis recovered, Frank, his son, kept the office open with his mother as receptionist. Frank C. Bemis would continue the activism in chiropractic that was started by generations before him. Frank would hold almost every office in the IPSCA, including president, 1972 to 1974. Along with serving our state association, he was also very active serving Illinois within the ICA. Frank would become active at Palmer College as well, serving with the Alumni Association, and even on the board of trustees of the school. Frank would earn several honors from IPSCA, Palmer College, and the ICA. In 1974, Frank's brother Jerry also graduated from Palmer, and the three Bemis chiropractors worked together until their father's passing in 1984. The tradition didn't end there. Frank's son, David, became the fourth-generation Bemis chiropractor in 1989. His brother Ryan would finish at Palmer in 1998. Over time, two more cousins, Jerry Jr. and Jeff, also became chiropractors, making a total of 8 Bemis chiropractors, with as many as 6 practicing simultaneously in Alton, Illinois, a town of just 20,000 people. And in 2015, the 9th Bemis chiropractor and the first woman in the family graduated from Palmer exactly 50 years after her father and 100 years after her great-grandfather, Francis. Christina was honored to have her father be her commencement speaker at her graduations. The Bemis story is more than a family history. It's a story of perseverance, passion, and a commitment to chiropractic care that has spanned over a century and 4 generations. It reminds us that chiropractic isn't just a profession. For some, it's a calling that can shape an entire family's destiny. The Bemis family's legacy lives on, not just in Alton, Illinois, but in the hearts of every patient they've helped, every student they've inspired, and every chiropractor who carries the torch of this great profession forward.